Alright, YouTube, it's Shadow King Nazru, and we got another story update for Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. Unfortunately, I don't have enough space on my phone to do a proper recording of what's happened, so we won't be able to get the actual footage or get like a screenshot and I just recap what's happening. So what I figured we'd do this time is that we watch it together, and I just voice what's happening, share my thoughts, and when this video is uploaded, you can tell me what you thought about this update in the comments section, what you thought was interesting, so on and so forth. Get the discussion going. Let's get into this, shall we? Okay, this is the Kingdom Hearts Union Cross Final Chapter Part 1. There, okay, we got Gold, Ephemera, and the player hoping that Ventis is okay and hoping that Lauriam knows that Ventis is innocent. It was actually darkness that killed his sister. Okay, they're saying they think everything's in the clear, and they're going to check up on him. And now they're wondering if the world is really going to end, but they're not too sure on it. And basically, if we're just recounting Master Alva's teachings that when the world falls to darkness, it's just sleeping, it's not gone forever. And saying that since Information is responsible for the dandelions, he's going to try to do his best to live up to them. Skull is saying it's not his responsibility alone, but she'll support him either way. Someone's walking up, and we cut from that back to Lauriam and Ventis. So they skipped over the part where the Keyblade wielders fought darkness, which was Ventis, and Lauriam saying that he realized that it wasn't Vince's fault, but he just needed someone to be angry at, since darkness is so abstract and not tangible. But he realized that was kind of selfish of him. He wants to know, is darkness really gone? Which we know he's not gone, because he has to become Ventis in the later storylines. And he's still very angry about it. Oh, that's Trilicia. And basically Trilicia is saying Lauriam can't be consumed by his hatred and sadness, because that's not who he is. And Lauriam wants to know if his sister Trilicia was actually there. I mean, it could be her spirit, or it could be just in his head. When Ephemera saying that someone's there.
Lazy Boy has designed
Oh god, another ad.
spaces like this modern sofa where I can just take a minute.
I'm so sick of these ads, especially the ones that you can't skip.
Lazy Boy, live life comfortably.
Shut up already. Alright, let's say, like, Ephemera said that someone's come to visit. Oh, and it's Elrena, aka Lark seeing somebody. And Lauren wants to know what they're doing here. Elrena's saying that her Charity is claimed to have seen Trilicia around. And Lauren wants to know where, naturally. And apparently a few days ago, he spotted her walking with someone in a black coat, which would either be the Master of Masters or Lushu. Given that the Master of Masters would be outsiders, I would assume it's Lushu. Especially since we saw him carrying a person in white clothing. So that was probably Lushu carrying what's left of Trilicia. Brains trying, and the rest of the group are trying to figure this whole thing together. And they're definitely suspecting that it's one of the masters that was with Trilicia. And it deduced that that's the Master of Masters in Lushu. And Brain says the master shouldn't be here, so that obviously leaves Lushu. He's asking, do you remember why this data world was created? It says and Skull says a backup for the real one. And to say the world as it was before the Keyblade War. That means Trilicia's data must be stored here too. And Lauren is surprised that it's a copy of its world and people. And he's wondering should there be alternate versions of which they are. And saying that Brain's saying right, but the data hasn't been touched yet. And he remembers that Lorena saw a glitch version of Trilicia. And maybe her data is here, someone has managed to access it. Lauren doesn't understand, wondering why it's Trilicia. And if her data exists, does that mean they can bring her back? But nobody knows. And they're wondering who would probably do something like this. And most of the masters are gone, so they really don't know what's going on. So Lauren suggested they go to the railroad and try to figure things out. And they said that since Darkness said they can use the light post to go to the railroad, they're going to do that. And now they're going to the basement. So it's really interesting that that there's a possibility that we could bring back Trilicia in some manner, be a data copy or whatever. And right now they're trying to. Lauren was going to bring Ventis. Oh my God, another ad.
Colors can be
Yeah, so it's really interesting. They could bring Trilicia back in some version. Oh, thank God we can skip this one.
Discover your colors with Michael Sam.
Don't care. I swear I'm so sick of these ads. Now we with Darkness and Lushu. He's saying that he's wondering who's going to be the five that are going to be left to go to the real world and most likely the next world. And Lushu says surprised he didn't read that in the book, which Darkness says he wasn't interested. And he's only interested in expansion. Lushu says he doesn't really get him, and Darkness says the feeling is mutual. He wants to know why he spent the time grooming these Keyblade wielders only to trap them in the data world. And Lucius says he doesn't know how the Master of Masters thinks. And yet you follow him. Lucius says, why not? I may not know the reason behind everything he does, but I can guess. But you're not certain. Sure of one thing. He's not a fan of darkness, so yeah. And despite them being familiar with each other, they're not exactly fond of each other. We're not fond of the light either, naturally. And Lucia wants to know what darkness's plan is. He says to spread through the data world using its signals to accompany the chosen one into the future so I can lay claim to the worlds not yet created. So Ventis wants to use Ventis as a vessel to go to the future to conquer the worlds that have yet to be created. And Lucia says he doesn't think so. And Ventis says he can't interfere. And yet, Lucia says not to help the Dandelions, but he's not doing this for the Dandelions, he's doing this for himself. And he reminds him that he can't be destroyed since he doesn't have a form. Lucia says he knows, but he doesn't really care. And he's wondering why he wasted the effort. And, ooh, this is interesting. They said the longer you exist without a tangible form, the more your will fades. Oh, okay, so that's kind of why they need Ventis. They need Ventis to give them a physical body, otherwise their will fade. And because darkness used to have kind of a body back when the Master was young. And you abandoned for the light, that's when darkness became a whole. But then you realized that you couldn't maintain your will as one of, or as a whole. Very fascinating. Which is why you still need the physical form. Yes, this has an interesting weakness. They can't stay in their intangible state for very long. And he says that the whole infection plan, which is supposed to sound all grandiose, is just a plan to steal bodies, and it's honestly kind of sad and pathetic. Darkness gets a little triggered there, but Lucia has power over time-space because, you know, he's Zigbar, and we see him open portals in space. So he's able to easily evade that. And Lucia asks, besides you, there are 5 other shadows within the visual well. I know at least one is in the data world. So where are the others 4? Lucia's pretty sharp. He said, yes, you're well informed. There are 6 remained after the Keyblade War, after which we found ourselves in the data world. But you returned to the real world with the evil fairy Maleficent, meaning the rest are still here. Still there. Yes. Then you're the only one in my way. And it looks like Darkness and Lucia are getting ready to throw hands. Odd that they become allies in the future. Or kind of. Oh my god, another ad. Oh god, I'm so sick of this Invisalign line. I just hate this because I can't skip it. That's why I'm so sick of seeing the Invisalign ad. Ugh. Okay, we cut back to the Dandelions in the basement. Seeing we still got a little bit of the aftermath after Lorian got his butt handed to him by Darkness and Maleficent. And they're wondering what happened to the missing pod. And Lorian explains Maleficent took it. And they're starting to realize that one of them is going to have to stay behind. Well, actually, it's 2, because one of them is broken. There's only 5 left. I mean, obviously the player is going to have to stay behind because he's an original character, just a player, and he's not going to play any significant role in the Kingdom Hearts main storyline. Ooh, real Daybreak Town is on fire. Oh man, the Keyblade War really messed things up. And they said they're running out of time, they need to decide who's going. And then what's going to happen to the rest of the other Dandelions. And what about the rest of the wielders? And Brain says they'll just go to sleep, just like a computer in sleep mode. I mean, pretty much just quoting what Office said. And said the Master of Masters knew about this and created a backup world, place to shelter and keep us safe. That's where we are. This world will freeze. And he said if anything happens, this world can be rebooted and restored. So it's pretty much treating this like a computer, like it naturally is. And this world is nothing like the end of the real one. Like I said, the sleep mode. So they don't really need to be worried about this world. And they realize they need to use the lifeboats again to get to where their actual destination. It's just more debating. And yeah, they need to leave someone behind to help rescue the others. And he said Brain is suggesting Ephemera and him should split up. Brain, you should go back, and having you in the real world will give us the best chance to save people here. And Brain agrees. And Elrena's saying that she's not a union leader or anything, so she should probably stay behind. Skull says the only way to make it out is to go back. They're responsible for the whole situation. And he said that the player, Ventis, and Elrena should go. And they're just continuing to debate who should go. Just continues debating about who should go. There's a chance here. And they're saying Lauren should go because there's a chance he could get his sister back. And he'll have a better chance of getting answers in the real world. Arena doesn't feel like she deserves spot. Arena seems very humble, very juxtaposed against her personality as Larxene, where she's very bitchy, very abrasive. As in Lorian, when he says he finds a way to get back, he'll promise he'll save everyone. And finally, trying to say he's going. Naturally, the player says they'll stay because they're not even a dandelion, and he's just here as a friend for Ephemera and the rest of them. Besides, I don't want to have to wait around people again. You'd understand that if you actually played the game. It's funny. Skull doesn't want to leave those two behind. And he said, why don't we save one pod for later? You might be able to find a way to rescue all three of you at once. I'm really curious about what's going to happen to Ephemera, because Ephemera's spirit was in Kingdom Hearts 3, and I'm pretty sure Subject X is Scald. Okay. And Ephemera's helping Lauriam can look after Ven. Naturally, Lauriam, Ventis, and Elrena have to go because they have to become Larxene, Marluxia, and Ventis / Vanitas. Ephemera's gonna stay behind. Oh, Brain's giving Ephemera the Master Defender. And also the Book of Prophecies. It says, you ever get lost, don't hesitate to look inside the book. It'll help you when you need it most. I thought that Brain would have to stay behind because he would have to like sire the bloodline that would lead to Ericus. Because it's believed that Ericus is the descendant of Brain. And Brain's kind of joking that Master Ava knew that Ephemera wanted to look at the Book of Prophecies for a long time. And say, may your heart be your guiding key, which is basically their version of may the force be with you. And they're just saying thanks, take care, we'll be back. So it seems like the ones that are staying are Ephemera, Skull, and the player. So this, can we consider this the Union Cross Trinity? This is the Union Cross Trinity. The Wayfinder Trio was Aqua, Terra, and Ventis, though you could argue that Elrina and Lorium are the Trinity with Ventis. Then you got the Destiny Island Trio with Sora, Riku, and Kairi. Then the Twilight Town Trio with Roxas, Axel, and Shion. And everybody's, the ones that were meant to leave, they went to the lifeboats. And they're heading to the real world. And that was it. Odd that we did not get a battle in this update. Maybe that'll be in part 2, or maybe they're just maybe we won't get another one. The only thing would have been an option would have been to have a second round with Darkness. But they didn't even show the conclusion of that. They just showed the aftermath, which is kind of disappointing. But all in all, this was a nice bit of character moment. Seeing tying up some loose ends. As far as Reyna and Lorium are concerned, it was also nice to see the good friendship that all of them have, and seeing Lorium making peace with Ventis, knowing that he wasn't to blame for Trilicia's death. We also got to learn a little bit more about Darkness from Lucio, some of its weakness, that it can't stay in a formless state for long, otherwise it will lose its sense of self. What I'm wondering is that what are we gonna do about Demyx and Luxord, because they were supposed to be around during the Union Cross time period. You can make an excuse for Luxord because apparently he's part of the Verum Rex world with Yozora, so that's probably an excuse for him not being in Daybreak Town with Dandelions. But it's the same for Demyx. Is he part of that parallel world, or is he actually part of the real world and was around during the time of Union Cross? It's still, granted, Demyx is not my favorite character, and he's really, really far from my favorite character. I find him to be kind of annoying, but that's a loose end that still needs to be tied up. So maybe those questions will be answered in part 2, or maybe in some kind of upcoming continuation of Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. We'll see. So that was all that had to be said about this. You guys tell me, what did you think of this story update? Were you disappointed that we didn't get a fight? What did you think about these tender moments between the characters? What did you think about Darkness' weakness? Let me know in this comment section down below. I'll catch you guys later.